Hi, Armaan. Thanks so much for the time today. I know it's a busy day, and so many things have seemed to creep up in the day for both of us, I think.
Yes, no, I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having this conversation.
Cool. Well, I'm excited for everyone to hear because I think you are giving such a special gift to the world, and your perspective is so awesome. So you really have this message to spread with your personal brand about well, originally I thought it was the Sikh culture, to be quite honest. You taught me it was the Sikh culture. I've had an opportunity to teach a lot of people how to really say it because I've had the benefit of your brand. But tell me, Armaan, a little bit about your background and how this brand that means so much of you means so much to you, came to be.
So I'm born and raised in Punjab, and I was 13 when I moved to America, and I was in high school. So having to start your life from scratch, making new friends in ninth grade, from my first day here to this day has been a learning journey. And on this journey, I've not only learned a lot about myself, but also had the opportunity to teach everybody else around me about who I am, where I come from, and a lot of times it's just a lack of knowledge, information, or some people are ignorant, some people just never had the opportunity to learn. So if I can fill that gap through my work, I had that realization that while I'm at, doing different jobs, there are people that might have never seen a person in a turban before, and they might
Mhm.
have, and they might not know which religion or culture they belong to. So I take that moment as an opportunity to educate them and learn something about themselves. It's been just a journey about learning and sharing.
Yeah, and you told me that too, your generation is starting to get more resistant to traditional appearances of the culture, whether it be because they're embarrassed, whether it be because they've been targeted one too many times. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, whenever you're a minority, there's going to be different types of targets, from that lack of information or ignorance, or pure hatred. But especially post 9/11 era has seen a lot of targeted crimes against the Sikhs being misidentified. And so to help resolve that problem of educating the general community about who Sikhs are, where we come from, what we stand for, but also to then make our own youth feel comfortable in our identity and our culture, because the sheer reality of people growing up in um, other countries is their kids slowly lose touch with their roots. That's just inevitable unless a proactive effort is made to keep the roots connected. And like right now, there's maybe like I don't even know how many generations of Sikhs are in England, and the current youth doesn't even know how to speak the language. I don't want a blanket statement, but a lot of them don't even know how to speak the Punjabi language, or they don't know how to read it. Reading and writing is, far beyond. To even speak and understand it is difficult. So that is a pretty, stark reality. And so to bridge that gap so that the generations in America, Canada, like, don't lose that touch, I'm trying to do my work through my art, my clothing brand to bridge that gap, connect the roots and maybe give them an opportunity to learn something about ourselves.
Yeah, so let's identify then that pain point, right? Because first of all, the language is tricky, it sounds like. So, if you're not born learning the language, maybe you're not going to. But other than that, why do you think this culture is being abandoned or not traditionally observed as much? You touched on for a moment the misidentification. What do you think it is for people that they're saying, you know what, I'm not going to wear that. I'm not going to go to these festivals. I'm not going to do these things.
From just an observation standpoint, it's, different reasons. There's just a generational gap of, yeah, the men saying, hey, like if I live in the West, I want to look more Western. So it's just a optic standpoint. The other is somebody's gone through severe racism. They've been attacked physically, verbally, mentally, and so they want to abandon, the identity for that reason, so that they can just live a peaceful life without being targeted. But then it begs the question, how come people without a turban still get targeted for the same exact reasons? And so it brings us back to step one is like you have to be very confident and aware of who you are. You can't run away from that reality, and you
Yeah.
should just own up to it and help spread awareness.
And so the real problem isn't so much that you're wearing the thing. The real problem is a much deeper fear or misconception or whatever it is driving this, right? And I love how you took a moment and identified that. And so now tell us a little bit about what you've committed to. First, you committed to, making sure that you carried on the tradition, but then you started sharing it with others in a neat way. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, with pleasure. I w used to create art just in my free time until some friends said, "Hey, you should do this more formally, share it with the world on social media." And so I decided to then start creating art for the community that more people in the community can resonate with, from our Sikh history, our Sikh gurus, portraits of them. And so it started with that. Eventually, art can be subjective. Some people, love it. Some people might not resonate. But those who love it, a lot of them maybe can't afford it, so their interaction is limited with the art. So how do I ask myself, how do I get my work in more hands than just visually, making it accessible to them? And so clothing was the easiest way to spread awareness, to make people, feel pride in who they are, who their community is. And so I started a clothing brand. And all of that ties back to just my own roots of having grown up in Punjab and having learned art from my grandfather in a house that was called the Captain's Sojourn, because his dad was a captain in the British military back in the Second World War. And when he came home after war, he spent the rest of his life in that house, in that ancestral house that's now called the Captain's Sojourn. Sojourn meaning a temporary stay in your life's journey. And so it's that house where I learned how to create art from my grandfather. And that house really is that escape from reality for me, where I find the most amount of peace, and happiness, and I reflect on life. And so my brand is called Sojourn, Sojourn Apparel, Sojourn Arts. So everything that
Hmm.
I do from art to clothing ties back to why I started art in the first place. And because it's so inspirational to me, I wanted to be just like my grandfather, or carry on that lineage of, warriorship. And so that then ties back to the Sikh history, Sikh culture of we're just a group of warriors, from our. It's a matter of immense pride. So I would just want to remind the youth that there's nothing to be afraid of or to be hesitant about. It's actually a matter of immense pride to belong to the Sikh faith.
Absolutely. And you have monetized through the art and clothing somewhat, this brand, but you talked about it starting kind of on accident, that part of it, because it started with this personal quest, right? And then didn't you say that you had someone look at your art and say, gosh, you should sell this?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I used to make it just as like a birthday gift for somebody, until somebody said, "Well, this is pretty good. You should maybe consider sharing it with the world." And so because it's such a sacred hobby that, is derived from such a personal story, that I was like, if I want to do it, I'm going to do it professionally, and make a full website around it, make a brand around it, and then make it accessible on a more professional level.
Yeah, because I mean, I think the last part of the book is the aspirational part of should you want to monetize your brand, here's how to do it. And most people go through this process of, ooh, is this valuable or not? Like, how do we validate this, right? So that's, a lot of the process at the beginning is validating will people pay for it or not. And for you, I love how kind of the opposite happened. It was just kind of something so personal, but yet, so part of you, so people noticed it and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I should sell this. I love that.
Yeah, yeah. And total accident too, even with the clothing. I experimented with 6 different pieces of clothing um in a small pop-up shop, and I just had maybe like 50 or 100 pieces that I wanted to just pay out of my own pocket to get them produced at a very low level manufacturing, the standard, whatever I could find locally. And it sold within those 2 days. It sold out, so that showed me that people are interested in this. They not only love the work, but they need it. And so the clothing then took a turn to, okay, I need to do this more professionally and get it properly manufactured, properly sourced. And so yeah, that took its own turn.
That is so cool. And so tell us a bit about that process. How are things going today?
Things are evolving. Personal life gets in the way, but the brand continues to grow. Every year we drop a new collection. This is our third year now, so it started with just a collection of hoodies. Last year we introduced t-shirts and new hoodies, and each year we sell out of the full collection that we drop throughout the year. And now I'm introducing gym wear, which is one of the shirts I'm wearing right now. It just has proudly American flag and a Sikh army logo, and then more branding on the back along with the brand logo here. So we're ex evolving into, full gym wear, from not just streetwear t-shirts and hoodies, but slowly introducing more concepts.
I love all the symbolism so much. Where can we find your gear?
You can find it at sojournbyarmaan.com. It's going to be available on there
Armaan,
soon.
Armaan.
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. We just sat down with my photographer. We edited a new photo shoot and video shoot campaign. So the website's going to be updated here shortly.
Did you ever think that just committing to trying to carry this on through the next generation by the things you talked about and the hobbies you had and how you appear, did you ever think that this would be what it led to?
Never in a million years. I think it's just, God's blessing. If no, I didn't take any art classes. I'm not professionally trained either. So I consider all of it as just destiny. If I sit down and I put my mind to something that today I'm gonna make a portrait of X person, and it turns out good, then that tells me I was meant to do this. And since then, I've looked at that art in the same way. Like now, I get commissions for portraits of people's loved ones. Every time I start that portrait, I think to myself, how am I going to do this? There's no way I can make
Yeah.
it. In fact, I'll show you an example I have here. This is so this is my signature wooden collection. So I make
Wow.
like couples anniversary gifts and stuff. Before I start this, it's just a plain piece of wood. To
Yeah.
then transform it into like a painting, it's by the end of it, I think to myself, how did I do this? It's kind of I get lost in the process, and then 2 days later, it's there.
You are the living example of start before you're ready and why it's so important to step out. Look at what people would be and would have missed out on. And it's not just about the art and clothes, although that those are incredible and I'm blown away from that painting. But you teach while you go, right? So having this to talk about also leads to other conversations. You told me once about Siva. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so Seva, I mean, it's an integral part of the faith. From the different factions of the faith, from us being warriors that uphold justice and protect anybody who needs protection from injustice, to then also social service. Seva is an integral part of that community. In terms of langar, langar is a free meal that was started by our first guru, and it's been carried on all these centuries later. You can go to any Sikh temple and you will never leave hungry. And the idea of seva is to put others before yourself and to serve. So seva literally translates to serve, service, and so in any way you can, whether it's serving the community, serving one person, um, whoever in need. And so in whenever a Sikh parade takes place, there's multiple forms of seva. You could be in the kitchen. You can help with the cooking process. You can be on the streets, cleaning the streets in preparation for the parade. You can be you're a security guard at the parade. You're doing seva because you're doing it for free. You're doing it out of the pure passion and faith that you have.
When you tell me stories like that, it makes me feel like what you set out to do because of something negative, people being afraid to be authentically who they are and to dress in the turban, or people being embarrassed, right? You proudly wear this turban, you show up in the turban to all these places, not just traditional places, everywhere you go, every part of you. And it leads to these positive discoveries too. And I love that. I love what that shows people and symbolizes because you haven't been without adversity, right? How many different times have you said you think you've been targeted?
Uh, Probably don't have a number, but enough times to do something about it. And with that,
Yeah.
to me, is educate and raise awareness.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you've had such an influence, and always so excited to watch your brand, to watch your product drops, to watch where this is going to go next, because it's so much about everything behind the culture. And before we go, I have a burning question I've never asked you. How did we go from sick to Sikh
I think just the Western,
interpretation?
yeah, just pronunciation, right? Like
Yeah.
people here, if you read my name, they'll most likely say Armin instead of Arman, even though
Mm-hmm.
there are two A's after the M. So I don't know how the thinking process works, but yeah,
Yeah.
our cultural names are a little difficult to pronounce.
Yeah, I mean, I mispronounced Seva. Seva, is it?
Seva, yeah,
Seva. I said
yeah,
Siva. Okay. Yeah.
yeah,
Want to make sure to get that right. Seva.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Armand, for what you do and for all of the people that you've touched. People that you know you've touched, and then that ripple effect of people you don't even know you've touched. In
No.
5 or 10 years, where's Armand?
In 5 years, um, I've grown the clothing brand to a global awareness point where it's not just for the Sikh community, but it's for the global community. Some Everybody can find something from art to clothing on there. So I'm a proud owner of that. And in 10 years, um, I have scaled it and found different avenues to spread the same message, but through different forms of work. Personally, hopefully, I'm a happily married man and a dad of many kids.
Aw. We knew you when, Armand. We knew you when. Is there anything that we didn't cover that you want to say about the process of building your brand, branding in general? It's okay if we've covered it all. I just want to make sure.
No, I think I would love to emphasize that, I was just a guy with a vision and I still, whatever ideas that originated when I'm going to bed or I wake up or a random moment in a day, an idea can pop in my head and I can try my best to execute them, but to formalize it in a structure was something that like I was lucky enough to attend your classes and your residentials. And so not only from your lectures, but hearing from our peers in the classroom, I think the philosophy, the formal training is really critical to expedite that process or to give a structure to thoughts that are
Mhm.
sporadic or might go off on different tangents. But I think I really appreciate the connection that we've built and the training that you've provided, the material. And just I'm excited for everybody to get exposure to your thoughts and the way you think about this.
Well, right back at you, Armand, because I believe so strongly that we all have info and we all have that service first type brand in us. It's just the structure we need to put on it. And I think it'd be so cool to have so many brands out there like yours. Because geez, look what you do for the world. So thank you again so much for your time. And yeah, I'm sure we'll chat soon.
No, thank you. I'm excited for this. This is awesome. Thanks for having me be part of this.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.